Animal sidekicks. Yeah, animal sidekicks. We got cute little ones over here. We got a Rainy and we got a Tuk-Tuk. Okay, so this will be not the last Kingdom Hearts video that I'll be doing, obviously. At some point I'll do more. But this will be the last one in regards to Princesses of Heart / Princesses of Light. This one is going to be about the potential Princesses of Light, the options that Disney has to pick from for the Princesses of Light, for depending on how they want to work that in regards to Kingdom Hearts 4 or future Kingdom Hearts games if they keep going down that route. Well, not Disney itself. I mean, like, Disney has a hand in it, but it's mostly Square Enix that decides a lot of this stuff. But, yeah, I have an animal sidekick. He is called Rainy. Unfortunately, unlike other animal sidekicks that a lot of the Disney princesses have, he does not talk. Then again, not all the Disney princess animal sidekicks talk, because Angus doesn't talk in Brave. And Tiana technically kind of ends up marrying her animal sidekick, unless you want to count either Ray or Lewis the alligator as her animal sidekicks, but they talk. So, as you can tell, I pulled out a couple of my other princess shirts. I've got Tiana, and then Merida. Yeah, Merida, and then Raya. Technically, Raya has not been determined to be a Disney princess yet, but I'm not going to be surprised if she does end up becoming that. Or at least at the time, as far as I'm aware, she's not a Disney princess, unless I've forgotten about that. So this is just going to be me going through some of the different options that Disney has to pick from in regards to either choosing for some other Princesses of Light, or just what they could do with the characters. Off the list. Mulan is not on this list. Ariel is not on this list. Pocahontas is not on this list. And Megara from Hercules are not on this list. As much as I love all three of them, Ariel and Mulan both had very prominent roles in the original Kingdom Hearts games. And then Megara also had a rather prominent role in the Olympus Coliseum section of the Kingdom Hearts games, of the first two, with being around Hercules and everything. And then Pocahontas, they never really did anything with Pocahontas in the Kingdom Hearts games. And as I went over in the original Princesses of Heart one video that I did, I kind of talked about how I don't know how if they would be able to like make her world work very well for this, for like a Kingdom Hearts world. So, you know, we'll see what happens with that. I could be wrong and they could come up with something amazing to do with it, but I just don't quite see how that would work. Also, Esmeralda from Hunchback of Notre Dame will not be on this one because she was already part of some of the other sections in Kingdom Hearts. I think it was Dream Drop Distance was, I think, the one that she was a part of, if I remember correctly, but I could be wrong. And there's I was trying to remember, I think that's about it. And like Tinkerbell is, of course, part of the Peter Pan world with like Neverland and everything. But I think that was about it. And then Wendy also. Wendy, actually, I didn't go over this in the first Princess of Hearts video, but Wendy, Hook actually thought Wendy could have been a Princess of Heart. She wasn't, but they had kidnapped her anyway. And then, like, you know, they found out, no, she's not. And then they just, you know, you have to save Wendy, help Peter save Wendy. Which is kind of fun. Going down the list for what we have for potential princesses that they could use for the Princesses of Heart. Given what Disney has for canonically for princesses at this point in time, they would of course have Tiana that they could pick from The Princess and the Frog. They could choose her, getting to run around in, like, you know, that 1920s-ish New Orleans, I think it was 1920s-ish New Orleans era, and like the bayou and everything, like using Dr. Facilier, you know, like his friends on the other side and everything, like using them as like the basis for the Heartless would be like a really good way that they could do this. And of course, like, you know, you run around and like, I don't think you would like get turned into a frog the way that Tiana does, but like, you know, like you meet Tiana like maybe before she gets turned into a frog, or like you meet them once her and Naveen are frogs, and then like maybe you like help them. Like they may not be able to be very useful in your party, but like maybe they can, you know, help. Well, no, because you do see Tiana and Naveen kind of take down like the frog catchers or whatever in the movie, but like see Tiana and Naveen like help them get to, you know, the old witch woman in the lagoon, in the bayou, and then like help them fight against Dr. Facilier and everything. Disney could pull, you know, Square Enix could pull that off rather well. That would be a really good way of doing it. Like, you know, like maybe you're at Tiana and Naveen's wedding at the end of that section of the game. Like you see them get married, and then change back into humans. So that would be like a fun way of doing that. Like Tiana could work very well for a Princess of Light. And Tiana would also be one of the people who would be like, because Rapunzel, if I remember correctly, Rapunzel has her frying pan as like one of her weapons. That she uses, of course, throughout Tangled itself, but also in Kingdom Hearts 3. Tiana would just like corner the Heartless and like give them a stern talking to, and like they would just be scared of this to evaporate. I love Tiana. She's one of my favorite Disney princesses for many, many reasons. So like that would be something that they would be able to do with her and Naveen and everything in like that section of the world. Because I was trying to think if they've done anything as modern with that in Kingdom Hearts. I mean, like, you have, like, Traverse Town a little bit, and then you have, like, Twilight Town that you interact with in a lot of the games. But they are obviously not, like, our world, so that would be a little bit of an interesting way of having that work. Let's see. Next up, we have Mira. Who is, of course, Mira Dunbrock, you know, the firstborn of Clan Dunbrock, and I'll be shooting for my own hand. Mira would be a great member to have on your party, even if she's not someone that they set up as a Princess of Heart. Because with her sword skills and her bow and arrow, she would be an amazing, like, just to have set up as part of your party. If you're running through, like, you know, the Scottish Highlands area that they have there for Dunbrock. From you know, Brave, from that world and everything, like you help her like fight against like the Heartless and everything, and like still help her, like either it would be like after everything happens with like the whole story with like her mother turning into a bear and everything, with like Eleanor turning into a bear, or it would be like you help during that time frame. Like you meet Mira beforehand, and then like you find out that like, oh, you like actually listen to her when she explains that her mother got turned into a bear by the witch, and like you kind of like help them a little bit at times in that area, and like you have like maybe have Eleanor like as part of the party as well, maybe not as much, but like kind of there a little bit. But like, you know, we'd see some different aspects of that. That would be really fun. Maybe there's like a fighting tournament that goes with like the games that they have at the beginning of the movie with like all the suitors. Sora tries to be a suitor. Sora is technically a firstborn. Well, Vantus is kind of a brother to him. Same thing with like Roxas. So there's a bit of a weird concept there, but you know, that would be like an interesting way of putting it, that like Sora just like pretends to be the firstborn of a clan and like, you know, pretends to be part of the bow and arrow competition for Merida's hand. That would be kind of fun to watch. I don't think they would do that, but that would be fun. And like you help fight against Mordu at the end of the game or whatever, like, you know, maybe like the you know, bad spirits or whatever, like, you know, take over Mordu more. He becomes more of a threat with like the Heartless being around, because like Mordu is kind of the villain of Brave, and I went over this in the Brave video, but like he's kind of the villain, but he's also like, because of what you see from him from his past, he becomes more sympathetic later on, that he just made the wrong choices, and unfortunately he fell into the instincts of this beast of the bear. And, you know, he just like, he made the wrong choices. And, you know, we see a very similar thing happen with Riku throughout the course of the Kingdom Hearts games. He made the wrong choice at the beginning of the first game, and then throughout the course of the games, you see Riku redeem himself. Not that Mordu actually redeems himself, but he does end up eventually like getting to at least rest when he's, you know, dies at the end of the movie. So that would be like an interesting way of doing it. Also, just fighting against a whole bunch of Heartless that look like bears would be kind of fun. That would be fun. Let's see. Yeah, that would be an interesting one. Even if they didn't make Mira a Princess of Hearts, she would be an amazing party member to have, running around in that area. Let's see what else. We would have Moana would be the next one up. I don't have a Moana shirt. I still need to get one. But you have Moana. Now, of course, we see with Moana, she would be a very good candidate for a Princess of Heart. She would also be a very good candidate for a, to be part of, like the party as well. If I remember correctly, I do think Rapunzel was like a party member at times in your party, and then I do think that, it wasn't Anna or Elsa, but I think like Marshmallow was like a party member at some points in time. In the Frozen section of Kingdom Hearts 3, so it's like, it's not like you couldn't have Moana be part of the party and also be a Princess of Heart. Same thing with Merida, and same thing with Tiana. They could still be the Princesses of Heart or the Princesses of Light. It would just be, they would also be like party members. At times. Also, just having like Tiana as just like something else in the game would be fun too. Even if she's not a Princess of Heart, running around in New Orleans would be fun. Same thing with running around in like, the Scottish Highlands and Brave section. The Kingdom of Dunbrook. That'd be fun. But a lot of the things that we would possibly see if they did do Moana would of course be, you'd have to get used to like sailing and wayfinding and everything in the game. That would be like a mini game section of the game. They already have a little bit of that in, I think it was Kingdom Hearts 3, or in some of the Kingdom Hearts games you do deal with like the Pirates of the Caribbean world. And like you do like have a ship that you like sail around on and everything. And then you make it stronger by catching crabs, which is just weird, but that's just the way that they have it set up in the game. But, like you fight against Heartless and everything at sea, while she's like wayfinding and everything, and like you maybe fight against Heartless when they're in like, the underworld section where all the monsters are, the realms of monsters and everything. And then like help fight against Heartless that are trying to keep her from giving the heart back to Te Fiti and everything. Like you have to like hold off the Heartless while Moana has like her moment with Te Fiti where she's, you've forgotten who you are moment where she like walks down, the magma path toward Te Fiti or to Te Kā to return the heart of Te Fiti to Te Kā and everything. So like that would be like a fun way of doing it and everything, like have that be a section of it and everything, like the heart of Te Fiti is like a very key item in the game that like you have to go and help get it back at some point if it's stolen or whatever. Like that would be like a fun way of doing it. Plus I'm pretty sure that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson would be perfectly fine to come back and like voice Maui for this section. I would think that would be fun. Let's see, then we would have the other one that I wish that they had put this in Kingdom Hearts 3 was I wish that they had put in like the Sugar Rush section in Kingdom Hearts 3 for like running around for like, Ralph, Wreck-It Ralph, Ralph Breaks the Internet, like that section. Now, Ralph is a summon in Kingdom Hearts 3. I never really, I think, got to the point where I used him. I didn't use summons that much in the game. But, Ralph was a summon, but we don't really see anything that has to deal with Vanellope. Now, having Vanellope possibly pop up as a Princess of Heart, would be interesting to see and everything. See that as, something you get like Ralph as your party member trying to help her or whatever, have like a racing setup as part of that game. That section of the game for a minigame. I am not good at the racing parts of the mini games that they do, but sometimes it's just required and I just have to do them again and again and again until I finally get it because I'm just like, I am not good at racing games. I'm not good at driving games. Don't make me play Mario Kart unless you're definitely sure I'm gonna lose because I am horrible at those games. I cannot do Mario Kart games. Racing games are not for me. Doesn't mean I'm a bad driver. I just can't do that in the game very well. So, like, seeing some of that with, like, Sugar Rush and, like, Vanellope and Ralph and everything would be kind of fun. Would be just, like, a fun way of doing that and everything. They have to fight against King Candy and everything, like, if they wanted to bring that into the games. And it's, it's a video game inside the video game reference, so that's just kind of fun. I don't know if you'd be able to pull it off that you could, like, run around in, like, the Ralph Breaks the Internet section where he's, like, on the internet itself. But, like, at the very least having something with, like, Game Central Station with, going in there and then like going into, because we see, the inside of the, like, what is it, Heroes Duty game or whatever, where like the cybugs come from and like you help with like command, Calhoun and everything. And, like, you go into Ralph's world and, maybe dealt with something there or whatever. There's stuff that could be done with that for Kingdom Hearts, even if they don't make Vanellope a Princess of Light, but she would be a candidate there. Next up, and a little bit more modern, we would have Raya, for more closer to current time frames, or at the very least closer to newer princesses that they could add in. Raya, as I stated before, just like with Merida and just like with Moana, would make a great party member addition because she can sword fight, she's really smart, and you would also have the ability to probably help her, like help find Suzu and find, the different, the crystal pieces that she needs to find for the dragon gem, heart gem, whatever it's called, soul gem, I don't remember. Soul Dew, no, that's Pokemon. Sorry, that's Latias and Latias. That's different. But like like something along those lines where we see those interactions and everything, like help her have to like, fight against the Droon. And like the Heartless would be there as well. Like that would be like a really fun way to like have, Raya and the Last Dragon be like a part of Kingdom Hearts, would do that. Again, she wouldn't have to necessarily be a Princess of Heart. It would be great if she was, but she would be also just like a really great party member, just like Mulan was in, the other Kingdom Hearts games. Because Mulan was a really good party member when running around the kingdom, China, Land of the Dragon, whatever it was, section that they had there. Having Raya there to help run around in, in the different sections in the different kingdoms would be very, very good. And like her, and even if you wanted to do it that, if she didn't end up being the Princess of Heart, if it was like Namari, like having that section in there as well would be really good. With like that whole emotional high moment at the end of the movie with like, Namari like having to put the crystal together and everything to like free everybody from the Droon. That would be one thing. Different things that they could do with that would be very good. Then we would have Mirabelle Madrigal, who is of course the main antagonist, or the main, not antagonist, the main protagonist in, of course, Encanto. And having to run around in that world would be kind of fun. Mirabelle, I don't know if they would end up making her an official Disney princess. Raya has a good shot at it, but I'm not sure. And then Mirabelle, since she's technically not a princess in the movie anyway, that would be a little bit harder of an argument for them to make. Although they did do that with Mulan, where the reason she's a princess is because she has performed a great act of heroism. And, a lot of people are like, well, Mirabelle, she like, brought back the magic with her family and everything and like helped fix the family and everything. That's, that's heroics in and of itself. Trust me, I agree. That would be kind of interesting to see how that would work. Like you, like maybe have like a different party member, like you have like Louisa in your party at some point until like her magic starts, until like her gift starts fluctuating. Maybe have Isabella as like a party member at some point. Probably mostly Mirabelle, but we don't really see a whole lot of like Mirabelle demonstrating any type of like fighting technique, because that's not something that she aims for in the movie. She is not a fighter. Louisa is more of the fighter. And admittedly, I'm pretty sure that Isabella, even before, the what else can I do moment, would be quite useful, like trying to like, defend their town if needed. With like making flowers grow up everywhere and just causing a bunch of like, allergy problems for whoever is attacking them. That would be one thing. But you would see some of that stuff and everything, like have Peppa as like pop up at some point, like, you have to deal with like the weather with Peppa, like you have to find something to help Peppa be happy or something like that, so she's not, making it hail all the time or like having a giant storm happen. And like having Sora interact with Mirabelle, having her like, do her song of, waiting on a miracle and everything, which I've said before is the song in that movie that I resonate with that song the most, but also with What Else Can I Do? And to a degree, Surface Pressure. Not that we don't talk about Bruno as well, but what we would see, of course, what we could see if they brought, that world, Mirabelle's world into Kingdom Hearts, is a moment where, like Sora talking to Mirabelle. Because there are moments in the games where Sora has like lost his power. And him looking at Mirabelle and like being able to tell her just like, you know, and like she would be able to point out, I was like, well, you have that Keyblade and you have the power to like, you know, fight against these Heartless. I can't even do that. You know, I don't even have that type of a gift or anything like that. And, you know, having Sora, like having a nice moment between like Mirabelle and Sora would be a really great thing to see, in my opinion. See just like those two like sit and talk for a minute or something like that about like Sora stating that was like, well, I didn't always have this power. And like, you know, him saying I was like, and I've lost it at times, you know, but that didn't stop me from trying to protect those that I care about and like or trying to help those that I care about as best that I could. And like that would be a really great moment that you could play between like Sora and Mirabelle. That would just be my answer to that one. Or, you know, something like that. That would be fun. Run around in that area or whatever and have to deal with like a bunch of the Heartless and everything and like have different family members be helpful with different things. Like you go back to the mom, Julieta, every time like you need to be healed or something like that. Like she's by the save point and you like heal from her or something like that. Or you buy like the healing, the little healing things that she has and you like eat those. If you're like hurt or something like that, you know, if you're low on HP, you eat those. That would be a fun way of doing that. That'd be fun. And then finally, the last one that I did want to bring up at the moment would be Meilin Lee from Turning Red. She's, of course, the main character of Turning Red. She's the girl, of course, that turns into the panda and everything. Throughout the course of the movie, we, of course, she can, I mean, like, having her in her panda form in the game, I mean, like, her going back and forth between her human form and the panda form would be, like, an interesting way of showing that. I mean, the movie takes place over, like a month time frame or so. And he's like, wait, is this thing still by me? You're so cute, baby. I love you. But, like, yeah, the Turning Red takes place over like several times, like a month or so. Having, you know, Meilin, you know, having Sora like interact with Meilin at times would be kind of interesting. I don't know if they would be able to like pull that off exactly, but it would be like, you know, you come back at different points in time and like maybe you help Meilin fight against Heartless because like maybe to a degree they're being like drawn there. Again, this would also be like trying to drop them into like drop the Heartless into like a very modern setup of our world. Kind of would be similar to what happens with Tiana or like what would happen with like Mirabelle. But, you know, because this would be like 2002 Toronto. I mean, like, you know, they kind of pulled this off a little bit with like the Big Hero 6 world. So, I mean, like, it's not that they couldn't do this. It would just be a very interesting way of showing it if they wanted to work that in there. You know, to have Meilin be there, have her kind of be this princess of light or princess of heart that they would have. Because, I mean, at the end of the movie, she does perform an act of heroism when she's, like, going up against her mom. Technically, it is, like, well, part of it could be considered, like, a selfish act of heroism, and the fact that she's, like, standing up to her mom in regards to, like, for what she wants. But at the end of the movie, it's also, like, her and her grandmother and her aunties like drag her mother back into, you know, the circle so that way they can, you know, get her out of her panda form. And, you know, are also an act of heroism from, you know, act of heroism from Meilin, Merida, Moana, Mirabelle, Meilin. Oh god. From Meilin is, of course, choosing to keep the panda inside of her, choosing to not be separated from it, is also, in my opinion, because it's like accepting parts of yourself that you might be afraid of, but that you also want to embrace in this case. And the panda makes her feel freer. And of course, we see that by the end of the movie. And it kind of makes her mother and her aunts have to like admit this, that maybe the panda wasn't for you, but that it is for Meilin, that her having the panda in her is a good thing. And I went over that to a degree in some of the Turning Red video that I did. But I do like how they went through and, you know, having Meilin be a Disney princess. I don't know if they'd be able to pull that off, but Maybe, probably not. I mean, like, Mira is the only one that's not from the Disney studios that is considered a Disney princess for for obvious reasons, and the fact that, you know, Pixar hasn't had that many others. So it's like, as much as I love Riley, she's not a Disney princess. And as much as I love Dory, I don't necessarily, yeah, she performs great acts of heroism, yes. So that would be one thing. But, you know, I don't know if they would be able to pull that off. Dory's also a fish. I love Dory, but you're a fish. Not that you can't have a fish princess, because, you know, Ariel. But, you know, it would be very interesting to see what they will do with, like, the Princesses of Heart in Kingdom Hearts 4 or in future games, how they're going to work that in there with having those characters be like this, you know, possibly a major aspect of the game. And it would also allow them to go back and be able to, like, if the organization or, like, whoever the bad guys are in this next section, if they actually end up, like, you know, kidnapping Elsa and Anna and, you know, Rapunzel, and, like, you know, using them the same way that Xehanort, or the same way that they were going to be used in the first game, where he captures them and is going to, like, use their power to make this, you know, very powerful Keyblade thing. So that's what I have. I do still plan to do a video about like some of the different worlds that I would like to see pop up in Kingdom Hearts 4, or in just future Kingdom Hearts games in general. Some of them I went through here, like New Orleans, or, you know, Scottish Highlands, or like the South Pacific Sea and everything like that, with like Moana. But, like, you know, some of those places would be really great to see. But there's, like, a few other ones that, like, are not related to Disney princesses that I would like to see them in, or would like to see explored in the Kingdom Hearts games. Would be interesting. So, that's what I have. I thank you very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I hope that you have a nice rest of your day. And puppy. Bye. Thinking of you, wherever you are, we pray for our sorrows to end, and hope that our hearts will blend. Now I will step forward to realize this wish.